Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to...
Why is atheism spreading rapidly in Turkey?
In recent decades, Turkey has experienced a significant shift in its religious landscape, marked by a discernible rise in atheism, deism, and irreligiosity. This change is particularly evident among younger...
What is deism? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know either?
Mm-hmm.
Let me look it up. Deism. Irreligiosity is irreligion. Okay, I get it. Deism.
I
Because
would think...
deity is a god, right?
yeah.
So deism is believing, no? Let me see. Deism is a philosophical and theological position that asserts the existence of a supreme being. What the fuck is it? Rise in atheism, deism, and irreligiosity.
Oh, so people who have a belief of a higher power is deism. I think, irreligious means thing like I'm not religious, I'm spiritual.
No, irreligiosity is just agnostic.
Yeah,
Honestly,
agnostic. There you go.
I feel like he just uses fancy words he don't know the meaning of.
Me, yeah.
I think that's what's going on here.
Exactly.
Because this is contradictory statement, but whatever.
generations, reflecting broader social, cultural, and political transformations within the country. Historically, Turkey has been a nation with a deep-rooted Islamic identity. Yet the trend toward atheism suggests a growing divergence from traditional religious norms. But today, the situation is changing. Recent surveys have shown a clear increase in the number of people in Turkey.
Ooh, that looks like a Lithuanian flag almost.
But it's the gay flag.
Really?
Yeah,
I guess
it's the gay flag. Rainbow, and then
no, the
there's
one the one painted. You see yellow,
oh.
green, red, and then blue. What does blue have to do with Lithuania?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other flags.
Identifying as atheists or expressing irreligious views. According to a 2023 survey by the Ankara Institute, the percentage of Turks who identify as atheists or deists has been steadily rising. In the survey,
Wait, can you? Which one is which?
Deist is blue one. But that's not what the Google says.
Wait, can you remove it? So deist is the blue one. I guess because atheists are steadily increasing.
Oh, okay. In simpler terms, it's the belief in God based on rational thought without relying on any religious authority or scripture. So I guess they believe in higher power, but they do not succumb to a religion per se.
Okay.
That's what it means. Okay.
Deist?
Deist, yeah.
And what about irreligious?
Irreligious is agnostic, I think.
Oh.
Because irreligious is just not. Because atheist is like I do not believe in God.
I thought agnostic means you're unsure.
No,
but you don't outrule it.
Which is irreligious, which is you just basically don't participate in a religion. That's what kind of agnostic. How I see agnostic is just like you don't care.
And atheism?
Atheism is saying no, there is no God.
Oh.
It's stating it as a fact.
Oh.
Agnostic is more like unsure. Yeah, religious is also kind of like on the fence. Like I don't really care. It's that type of. But we're really making a video about 2%. Bruh. What the fuck is this?
2% got a lot to say.
I really thought
2% got a lot to say.
Okay, unless this is 2023, let's see, maybe 2024 we got 25%. If we do a video about 2%, I thought it's gonna be like a significant chunk of population turning atheist. We talk about 2.7%. Is that what we're talking about?
But like, look,
that is not newsworthy.
Look, but 3.2% identifying deism.
But they're not atheists. The video is about atheism.
Oh.
Survey: 3.2% of respondents identified as deists and 2.7% as atheists, indicating that nearly 6% of the population now rejects traditional religious beliefs. Moreover, the rise in atheism appears to be particularly pronounced among younger generations. Another survey revealed that nearly 28.5% of Generation Z in Turkey identified as irreligious. This is a sharp contrast.
Wait, go back.
That's a more significant number, 28% of Gen Z. Okay. Because the 6% before
past generation,
nothing.
Past generation was, wait.
Past generation people should be able to marry outside of their religion. Okay, so the first statement is people should be able to marry outside of their religion. In the past generation, basically only a third believe that. Now, 82% believe that.
Oh,
Fulfill
okay.
religious requirements, fasting and praying. Past generations is 62% fast, 32% pray.
And then
Well,
so
that's
what's the 50?
interesting. So
So
people believe they don't need to pray, but they need to fast. That's so awkward.
because it's like a I don't know, maybe
I would feel like it's
mm,
opposite. You should have to pray, but not fast. Wow. Anyway,
you should have to pray
but not
and not
fast.
fast.
Yeah, because to me,
But at the
praying is
fast,
more of a commitment than fasting.
no, but fast is the whole point of praying.
Oh,
That's the why
I
you
guess.
do it. That's the purpose.
Okay. Well,
You have a football game, but you don't go to practice. So you expect to play? No.
I'm not catching it, but it's okay.
Don't do that to me.
I,
That's not fair.
well,
You understand? You understand?
okay. I understand. Okay, I understand. But anyway, Gen Z fulfill religious requirements. Only 15% believe that. Well, no, this is more significant number, but the 6% they showed before that, I'm like, why are you making a video about 6%?
5% of Generation Z in Turkey identified as irreligious. This is a sharp contrast to older generations, where religious affiliation remains far more prevalent. The trend suggests that young people in Turkey are increasingly questioning the role of religion in their lives, leading to a significant shift in the country's religious identity. This shift toward atheism and irreligiosity can be attributed to several interconnected factors, including the changing political.
Such an awkward word, irreligiosity. I've never heard this word before. Like, never heard it used. Like, just say, I don't know, agnosticism or something. I don't know.
Climate, the influence of social media, and global culture, and increasing educational opportunities that challenge traditional religious teachings. One of the most influential factors contributing to the rise of irreligiosity in Turkey is the increasing access to education and intellectual engagement with religious ideas. In the past, Turkey's
But
education system was
I thought in Turkey, everyone like education was the most important thing. Like education.
Well, I don't know historically how has it been now. Yeah, it's important, but if you look like a generation, somebody who's 80 years old, they went to school 60 years ago plus. So 60 years ago might not have been, and they're still alive. So they're part of the belief that you need to fast, you need to pray, and you can't marry. That's out of your religion. So it changes with time. To me, it's a natural progression.
deeply intertwined with state-sponsored secularism. The compulsory religious courses in schools, while designed to teach students about Islam, were also intended to promote a sense of national unity and civic responsibility through secular means. However, in recent years, many Turkish students, particularly those in urban areas, have begun to question the religious teachings they receive in school. A study by Sakarya University and the
But I'm glad that the government allows them to question it though, because in some countries you can't even question it.
Really?
Turkish minister
Like which ones?
I don't know, but we
Because
see like
how
in.
would they know? Like how do you like I guess
I
you don't
mean,
attend. Maybe
yeah,
you feel ostracized by your family.
yeah, because this is this.
Because I'm not thinking government can get involved, like knowing your business in terms of if you're practicing or not.
This is like a freedom of speech. If you can criticize a religion that is a national religion of your country, then that means you have freedom of speech. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm glad you have that freedom of speech to say something that I don't agree with it.
of Education found that an increasing number of students were identifying as atheists, deists, or agnostics. These students often express frustration with the state-imposed religious curriculum and the compulsory nature of religion classes. The trend is particularly pronounced among students at secular universities, where there is greater intellectual freedom to explore alternative worldviews. The internet and social media platforms have also played a crucial role in shaping the opinions of younger generations. With access to global information, young people in Turkey are increasingly exposed to diverse perspectives on religion, philosophy, and science. The rise of online communities and social media influencers who advocate for secularism and irreligiosity has further reinforced this shift. Many young people in Turkey are now engaging with global discussions about atheism and irreligion, which has led to a broader questioning of traditional Turkish religious identity. The foundation of secularism in Turkey dates back to the establishment of the Turkish Republic in 1923 under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. Ataturk and his successors implemented a series of reforms aimed at modernizing the country and distancing it from the Ottoman Empire's deeply religious framework. One of the most significant reforms was the adoption of secularism as a core principle of the Republic, with the aim of creating a modern, progressive, and non-theocratic state.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Ataturk's secularism was designed to promote the separation of religion from state affairs. This was exemplified by the abolition of the caliphate, the closure of religious schools, and the establishment of a secular public education system. Throughout the 20th century, secularism remained a cornerstone of Turkish state policy, influencing everything from public life to government policies.
So what
However, the
changed?
political landscape began to shift in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, and with it, attitudes toward religion and secularism. The political landscape in Turkey has also contributed to the rise of irreligiosity and the changing nature of religious identity. Under the rule of Erdogan and his party AKP, Turkey has experienced a significant shift toward more religiously conservative policies. Erdogan's government has openly advocated for a more Islamic identity for the nation, citing Islam as a central tenet of Turkish culture and politics. The government's push to raise a devout generation through various policies, such as promoting religious education and encouraging religious practices, has sparked concerns among secularists. These policies have been used for undermining the secular principles enshrined in Turkey's constitution. The rise of Islamic conservatism in politics has also made it more difficult for non-religious people and secularists to freely express their beliefs without facing public backlash. In addition to state-sponsored religious initiatives, there has been increasing pressure on the media and public institutions to align with Islamic values. Diyanet, the Directorate of Religious Affairs, has expanded its influence, actively promoting religious practices and reinforcing Islamic moral codes. In this environment, non-religious people and secularists have found themselves at odds with the government's emphasis on Islam in public life. Turkey's constitution guarantees freedom of religion, and secularism is enshrined as a fundamental principle of the state. However, the reality of secularism in Turkey has become increasingly complex. While the constitution maintains a separation of religion and state,
That's
the
what's
growing influence of religious
interesting.
institutions
They have this separation, but there's a issue with when it comes to practice.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's like they do have it on paper, but it's not in actuality, basically.
such as the Diyanet has blurred the lines
What?
between
You
state and
copy
religion.
my homework.
The Diyanet
No, I
plays an
agree with you. I don't copy your whole. I agree
You
with you.
copy my homework
I agree.
and add extra word, fancy words.
Yes, to sound smarter. Yes.
Okay.
active role in shaping religious discourse in Turkey, with its influence extending into areas such as education, media, and public policy. In recent years, secularists have expressed concerns that the government's increasing support for religious values is undermining the secular foundation of the state. These concerns have been amplified by the rise of Islamism within the ruling AKP and the government's efforts to promote religious values in schools and public institutions. As secularism comes under strain, non-religious people in Turkey face an uncertain future, navigating a political environment that increasingly marginalizes their beliefs. Despite the growing number of people identifying as atheists or deist, atheism remains stigmatized in Turkish society. Many atheists face significant social pressure, especially from their families and communities. In a society where religious identity is often equated with national identity, rejecting religion can be seen as a form of cultural betrayal. Atheists in Turkey often
Wow.
report feeling isolated and marginalized, and many choose to keep their beliefs
I mean, if it's only 6% of people are atheists, you do kind of feel isolated. There's really not that many of you. What?
You have to kind of set up a club.
Yeah, basically, it's like what 1 in 20
But-
people is atheist. It's really not
I
common.
I get it because it's like are you partly your identity. Like for some people, religion can be their whole
Yeah,
identity,
it
but
is.
I think it's like people can view those things at different levels, though.
private
Aw.
for fear of discrimination.
Wow.
One of the most striking aspects of this stigma is the way in which atheism is often viewed as a threat to the moral fabric of society. For example, when discussing
Yeah, I feel like religious people do try to paint atheism as that, as atheism is tried to like have a anarchy. Like let's go, do something to people. Let's not follow the law. Like I don't want to use the language.
For me, I think it's because atheism doesn't really have a face or have good marketing because honestly, when I think of atheism, I think of like
Sure.
sad.
Atheism does not have good marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is when it comes to marketing. Religion has way better marketing than
Yeah, and they've been doing
atheism.
it for a
That's-
long time.
They've been doing that shit for a long
Mhm.
time, so they nailed it. The
Mhm.
marketing is supreme.
the rise of atheism, Turkish political and
I
religious...
think the saddest video about atheism you showed me, like where the kids asking
Yeah.
atheist kids something, and the answers are just so sad.
Yeah, they sound,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing.
it sounds sad.
Uh,
It sounds sad.
yeah.
leaders often
Hmm.
describe atheism as a dangerous ideology that threatens the nation's unity and Islamic values. This rhetoric has contributed to the growing sense of alienation among atheists in Turkey who feel that their views are not only unpopular but also condemned by the broader society.
Because to me, it
The-
looks like you don't have any hope. Like outside of this, there's nothing bigger. And it's really confident too, which can be off-putting
So is
to some.
religion. Religion is confident.
Yeah, I can see that too as
Religion is
well.
very
I
confident.
think
Very pushy,
I
very
feel like
confident.
the most modest is the agnostic,
I think,
because their
yeah,
approach is like,
agn-
to me, is more reasonable.
agnostic slash irreligion just don't get into
Mm-hmm.
the conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
also there's like level to which you're religious, I guess. Like
Yeah.
religious on paper, because there's some people that are just religious on paper that just don't really want to think about it. Yeah, I'm religious, I believe it, whatever. Go to church
Mm.
once, twice a year. Those type of people, yeah, they're not pushy, but they're like the dedicated religious people, like those
Mm-hmm.
who go to church every week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they pushy. They
Mm.
push. But atheists are also pushy too. To be fair, atheists are very pushy because they're also very passionate on the other side.
The thing that I find contradictory is, if the parents are atheists and they bring in their kids into atheism, I think this is contradictory to the whole philosophy, because shouldn't that be something that you get into after you do your studies, or you explore to understand? Okay, then no, I reject it.
No, because you're assuming that religion is a default. I don't see why
No, it's
religion
not
is a
as no.
default.
I didn't say it's the default. I said agnostic is the default, and then you do your studies, your exploration, and then you
Okay.
decide for yourself. Because I think it should actually be more middle ground, where you do your studies and you decide for yourself, as opposed to maybe you're going into something just because your parents and your parents' was in it themselves.
But that's how you get into religion too, though. You get into
Mhm.
religion because of your parents,
Mhm. Mhm.
parents. The whole line of generations
Mhm.
were religious, so the kid is automatically going to be religious. So it's
Mhm.
the same thing with atheism, though, just opposite sides.
Yeah, that's why I
There
always think.
isn't like like, I guess agnostic family would raise a kid. They probably just wouldn't talk
No,
about
they
it.
wouldn't
They
talk
would just
about it.
never come up.
But when they get like confronted with it, then they'll do like their own exploration and decide for themselves. Because
Yeah,
I've seen people who have gone from Christianity to Buddhism, from Buddhism to Christianity. It's like people just have to go through life,
yeah,
be able to go through life.
right. I'm just saying, like, from
Mm-hmm.
the comments you made, it atheist parents raising atheist kids is no different than Christian parents raising
Yeah,
Christian kids.
yeah. But that's why I say it's contradictory, because the whole point of atheists is that they reject the whole thing. But then
Yes.
when you put your child into it, you don't even allow for the rejection. They should be allowed to like decide.
Yeah.
Rise of atheism, deism, and irreligiosity in Turkey is part of a broader shift in the country's religious and cultural landscape. While secularism has been a foundational principle of the Turkish Republic, recent political and societal changes have created a more complex and dynamic religious environment. Atheism, once considered a fringe belief in Turkish society, is now a growing movement, particularly among younger generations who are increasingly questioning the role of religion in their lives. The growing visibility of atheism and irreligiosity in Turkey raises important questions about the future of secularism and the role of religion in public life. As the country continues to grapple with the tensions between secularism and Islamism, the rise of atheism represents a significant challenge to the status quo. The evolving religious landscape in Turkey highlights the shifting identities of its citizens and the broader social changes that are reshaping the nation. How Turkey navigates these changes will have profound implications for its future, both politically and socially.
Can I see the comments?
Sure. Interesting video. The only thing is that 6% is kind of low. So, as a 21-year-old Turkish says, I can say that this is because of political Islam. When I was a kid, I was a religious person, but due to political Islam of Erdogan, I become a deist. Okay. So he didn't lose faith. He just lost, I guess.
I guess going with the structure.
Yeah, this lost the belief in that structural. Shouldn't be too surprising that the Directorate of Religious Affairs in the country said Allah was who determines the price of stuff, which I think was a response to why everything was so expensive in the country. Would you rather criticize God and they would rather criticize God than the president? People keep getting away with stuff by using religion. Everyone getting sick and tired. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. People get away
Yeah.
just blame it on religion. Yeah, yeah, tough. This is the result of political Islam. Secularism was established to prevent people's religious beliefs from being exploited by politicians.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
since the principle of secularism began to be abandoned in favor of political Islam, more and more people have become atheists or deists. Some have even returned to the old Turkish religion, Tengrism. Ooh, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
because I do have a problem when they use religion as a part of politics, because those things are two separate things, and also we have a situation, we have a separation between church and state, and
Yeah,
then we see this contradiction. So I understand
but
the people.
that's also why I kind of feel like this is also what's happening here, though. With
Mm-hmm.
Trump,
Well,
his base heavy religious, and he
uh-huh.
ran on the whole. He holds into his campaign speeches. He holds the Bible upside down, of course, because I don't really believe he's that religious. But the point is he's kind of targeting those people, and he's using religion to get voters. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing they're kind of talking about.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see, there's like people who can utilize something that's supposed to be, meaningful
Yeah.
for alternate purposes.
Hmm.
Hmm. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, 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 share as much kindness as possible.